You're just too boring, Olivia. I need passion, excitement. I want a divorce. After being heartlessly discarded by her husband, Olivia Everstone reclaims her true identity as a powerful heiress, turning the tables on the man who once deemed her boring. But when fate forces them into an unexpected alliance, will revenge remain her only goal, or will love get a second chance? But before we start the video, let us know where you're watching this video. And if you like this story, don't forget to subscribe. Story Store, and please share your thoughts about this story in comment section. The storm raged as Olivia Whitmore stood frozen at the grand entrance of the Whitmore mansion, the once warm home, now a tomb of broken vows. Rain pelted down, soaking her designer dress, but she barely felt the cold. All she could hear was Alexander's voice, calm, detached, and laced with finality. You're just too boring, Olivia. I need passion, excitement. I want a divorce. A bitter laugh almost escaped her lips. Boring? She had sacrificed everything for this man, her love, her ambitions, her very identity. And now she was being tossed aside like an expired contract. Fine, she whispered, keeping her voice steady, refusing to let him see her shatter. Alexander merely raised a brow, as if he expected her to beg. Instead, she turned on her heel, stepping out into the storm. The cold wind lashed at her face, but she welcomed it. She had endured far worse. But just as she reached her car, a sleek black vehicle pulled up. The driver stepped out and held the door open. "Miss Everstone, it's time," he said. Olivia stiffened. She hadn't heard that name in years. A flash of understanding crossed Alexander's face, but before he could speak, she slid into the car and disappeared into the night. As the car sped down the highway, Olivia leaned back, closing her eyes. It was over. No, this was just the beginning. A voice crackled over the speaker. "Welcome back, Miss Everstone. The board is waiting." The world had forgotten who Olivia Everstone truly was. The daughter of a billionaire, the heir to an empire. She had given it all up to love a man who never bothered to love her back. No more. By morning, headlines would scream of her return. By the next gala, she would make sure Alexander Whitmore understood exactly who he had underestimated. And by the end of it all, he would regret the day he let her go. Months later, the business world buzzed with whispers of Olivia Everstone's return. She stepped into the corporate arena with the precision of a queen reclaiming her throne. Her family's empire had thrived in her absence, and now she sat at its helm. At a high-profile charity gala, Alexander Whitmore raised his glass, half listening to an investor's ramblings, until the room hushed. He turned, and his breath caught. Olivia stood at the entrance, draped in a crimson gown that shimmered under the chandeliers. Power radiated from her every move. Industry giants and moguls flocked to her side, drawn to the fire he had never noticed before. Alexander's glass trembled in his grip. "Olivia?" She met his gaze with cool indifference. "Mr. Whitmore, it's been a while." A calculated smirk played on her lips. Then, as if he were nothing more than another guest, she turned away, greeting people who truly mattered. Alexander clenched his jaw. The woman he had dismissed as dull had transformed into the most captivating force in the room. And for the first time, he wondered if he had made the biggest mistake of his life. Alexander found himself unable to look away as Olivia commanded the room. Investors hung on to her every word. The same men who had once courted his business now sought hers. When she took the stage to announce her company's latest acquisition, his heart pounded. Her empire had placed a bid for a contract vital to Whitmore Enterprises' survival. The realization hit him like a thunderbolt. Olivia wasn't just back. She was here to take him down. After the gala, he tried to approach her, only to be intercepted by her assistant. Miss Everstone has a full schedule, the woman said, barely sparing him a glance. Please direct all business inquiries through the proper channels. Humiliation burned in Alexander's chest as he watched Olivia glide past him, laughing at something another man whispered in her ear. He recognized the man, one of the wealthiest executives in the industry. Jealousy clawed at him. He had let Olivia slip through his fingers, but he wasn't about to let someone else claim her so easily. Alexander Whitmore was not a man who accepted defeat, but Olivia was no longer a woman he could control. He spent weeks trying to get a meeting with her, only to be stonewalled at every turn. She was too busy striking deals, building alliances, and thriving without him. The woman who had once been his shadow now outshined him completely. Desperation turned to obsession. He needed to understand her, to get her back. But every attempt was met with cold professionalism. The distance between them drove him insane. Then, one evening, he saw her. Olivia, stepping out of a sleek car, arm in arm with the same powerful executive from the gala. They looked like a power couple, formidable, untouchable. Something snapped inside him. He stormed toward her, grabbing her wrist before she could walk inside. "Who is he?" he demanded. Olivia arched a brow, her gaze unreadable. "Someone who sees my worth." Her words sliced through him like a blade. For the first time, Alexander felt real fear. Not of losing a contract, but of losing the only woman who had ever truly mattered. And this time, she wasn't coming back. Olivia knew the moment Alexander entered the exclusive private club. She didn't even have to look up from her cocktail to feel his presence. Tense, restless, desperate. He had spent weeks chasing meetings with her, only to be met with locked doors and unread emails. Tonight, he had come looking for answers. Too bad she wasn't in the mood to give any. Dressed in a midnight blue gown that hugged her every curve, Olivia exuded power, confidence, and something else: revenge. Beside her, Nicholas Laurent, the same billionaire executive who had caught Alexander's eye at the gala, smirked knowingly. "He's here," Nicholas murmured, swirling his whiskey. "Perfect," Olivia said, setting her glass down. Time to let him know exactly what he lost. She turned just as Alexander reached her table, his jaw clenched, eyes dark with something she might have once mistaken for longing. "Olivia," he breathed, his voice strained. She arched a brow. "Mr. Whitmore, didn't expect to see you here." He ignored Nicholas entirely. "We need to talk, alone." Nicholas chuckled, but Olivia held up a hand. "Fine." They stepped onto the balcony, the city light shimmering below. Alexander turned to face her, frustration evident. "What are you doing?" Olivia tilted her head. "Thriving? This game you're playing." "Oh, it's not a game," she cut in, voice smooth as silk. "It's strategy, and unlike you, I don't make mistakes when it comes to people." Alexander exhaled sharply. "I never meant to hurt you." She laughed, a sharp, cold sound. "You didn't just hurt me, Alexander, you erased me, and now I'm returning the favor." She turned to leave, but he caught her wrist. "Olivia, wait," she wrenched free. "No, Alexander, you wait." She stepped closer, lowering her voice to a whisper. "Because by the time I'm done, you'll be the one left in the cold." And with that, she walked away, leaving him standing there, lost in the storm of his own making. The very next morning, the headlines hit like a wrecking ball. Everstone Group acquires Whitmore Enterprises' biggest contract. Alexander stared at the screen in disbelief, his fingers curling into fists. Olivia hadn't just come back, she had come back with a vengeance. His phone rang. His CFO's voice trembled. "Sir, we're losing investors. They're switching to Everstone." Alexander slammed his fist against the desk. How had she pulled this off? The contract had been locked in for months. Unless... His eyes widened. She had planned this all along. That evening, he stormed into Olivia's office without an appointment. The receptionist barely had time to protest before he threw open her door. Olivia sat behind an expansive desk, calm as ever. "Ah, Alexander, how dramatic of you. What the hell is this?" He tossed the printed headline onto her desk. She didn't flinch. Instead, she picked up the paper, scanned it, and smirked. "Oh, this? Just business. You set me up." She leaned forward. "No, Alexander, I outplayed you." His jaw tightened. "Why?" Her gaze turned icy. "Because it's time you learned what it feels like to be powerless." He exhaled sharply, dragging a hand through his hair. "Olivia, listen." "No." She stood, walking around the desk. "You listen. You threw me away, and I rebuilt myself into someone unstoppable. You don't get to waltz back in and expect things to go your way." She walked past him, pausing at the door. "This is only the beginning, Alexander. Brace yourself." And then she was gone, leaving him to drown in his own regrets. Alexander Whitmore was unraveling, and everyone could see it. His once unshakable confidence had turned into reckless obsession. Olivia haunted him. Her name was in every business deal, her face in every magazine. She was winning, and he was losing everything. He refused to let it end this way. That night, at yet another high-profile event, he cornered Nicholas Laurent in the VIP lounge. "What do you want with Olivia?" Nicholas smirked, sipping his whiskey. "Careful, Whitmore. You sound jealous." Alexander's fists clenched. "Just answer the damn question." Nicholas studied him, then chuckled. "You had your chance, and you threw it away." The words hit harder than expected. Before Alexander could reply, a familiar voice spoke behind him. "Talking about me, gentlemen?" Olivia. She was breathtaking in black silk, eyes gleaming with amusement. Nicholas kissed her hand, making Alexander's blood boil. "Olivia," Alexander said carefully, "we need to talk." She sighed. "You keep saying that, but I don't see why." He stepped closer, voice low. "Because I still—" She cut him off. "Don't say it." For the first time, something flickered in her gaze. Something unreadable. Then she turned, walking away once more, leaving Alexander standing in the ruins of his own making. And this time, he feared he had truly lost her forever. Olivia never imagined she'd need Alexander's help again. But as her family's empire faced an aggressive takeover by a vengeful rival, she found herself backed into a corner. The enemy was ruthless, targeting not just her company but her reputation. Investors were withdrawing, allies were betraying her, and the media painted her as a failing heiress unfit to lead. Alexander, despite his bruised pride, saw the attack for what it was, an attempt to wipe Olivia out completely. He offered his assistance, but Olivia hesitated. Trusting him meant risking everything. "Why would you help me?" she demanded. His smirk was gone, replaced with something unreadable. "Because I know what it feels like to lose everything. And because I owe you." Forced into an uneasy alliance, they worked together, attending high-stakes meetings and outmaneuvering their shared enemy. But the more time they spent together, the more sparks reignited. Alexander wasn't just helping, he was protecting her, shielding her from those who sought to destroy her, and that terrified Olivia more than the threat against her company. One night, after a heated negotiation, Olivia confronted him. "What do you really want from this, Alexander?" He met her gaze. "To prove to you and to myself that I'm not the same man who let you go." The battle escalated. Olivia's company stood at the edge of ruin, and Alexander risked his own business to save it. At a press conference, he shocked the world by declaring a merger, uniting their companies under one name. The enemy was furious, launching one final, desperate attack, leaking private emails that painted Olivia as a villain. The media turned against her, and investors pulled out. It was her lowest point. Alexander found her in her office, hands trembling as she stared at the headlines. "I won't let them destroy you, Olivia." "Why do you care?" she whispered, broken. He cupped her face, his eyes burning. "Because for the first time, I care about something more than power. I care about you." Determined to fight back, Olivia used the scandal to her advantage. She held a press conference, revealing the full extent of the corruption behind the attacks on her company. The move was risky, but it worked. Public sympathy shifted in her favor. Meanwhile, Alexander confronted the man behind it all, a former rival who had long sought revenge against the Everstone name. Their conversation turned dangerous, but Alexander didn't back down. He had lost Olivia once. He wouldn't lose her again. With Alexander's resources and Olivia's cunning, they turned the tide. Olivia unearthed the enemy's darkest secret, a scandal so damaging it forced their rival into submission. At a dramatic board meeting, she exposed everything, sealing her victory. As security escorted the defeated rival out, Alexander looked at Olivia with something akin to admiration. "You were never the weak one in this relationship," she smirked. "Took you long enough to realize." But as she stood at the top, she looked at Alexander. He had risked everything for her, but now he was ready to walk away. "You have your empire back, Olivia. I won't force my way in." She watched him go, heart hammering. Was winning worth it if she lost him? Days passed, but Olivia couldn't escape the truth. She had fought for her company, but her heart still longed for the man who had stood by her side. She found the divorce papers she had never signed. Instead of ink, she wrote something else, a note asking Alexander to meet her one last time. When he arrived, she held her breath. "One condition, Alexander. If we try again, you love all of me. No masks, no secrets." His answer was immediate. "Always." But Olivia wasn't going to make it easy for him. "Then prove it." Alexander smirked. Challenge accepted. For the first time, their love story truly began. Not as the broken couple they once were, but as two equals, ready to build something real. They had conquered the darkness, but now they faced their greatest challenge, building a future together. And this time, neither of them planned to let go.